Welcome back to another TerranScapes video. As you maybe recently saw, I posted a video on different river colors that I was working on, and I highlighted in that video that I had recently discovered a problem whereby the coating of the surface of the rivers was getting impressions from bubble wrap when it was shipping. And I thought that was an isolated problem. Turns out I was recently contacted by another customer who received an order in Australia, and he included some photos of his river pieces, and those also had some problems with them. So this is clearly becoming this is a problem that's just recently cropped up. Excuse me. And something that I really want to address as quickly as I can. So I've been doing a few experiments to see if I can understand what's going on with the Mod Podge coating, which is the surface that I give the rivers that gives them those undulations, and possibly look at some solutions for it. So I've been coming up with a difficulty in my mind of trying to find an alternative to the Mod Podge, because some of the alternatives that people use, things like silicone caulking, or I'm trying to think like water effects from Vallejo or from Woodland Scenics, those really have too much body in order to be able to press them out into those soft undulations, and you get a lot of bubble entrapment, which is fine for things like waterfalls and rapids, but doesn't really work for a very slow-moving body of water like a river or perhaps waves on the lake. So I'm hoping that perhaps I can show you a little bit about what I've learned so far, some ideas that I'm trying out, and let you, into the mind of the sort of terrain designer, as it were. And also, keep it open as well to suggestions that you may have, because so many people have worked with so many different materials, and I have quite a few viewers who check these out, perhaps some ideas might crop up. But I'm going to share with you a little bit about what I've observed and what I'm looking at as an immediate fix for a problem on site, and then what I'm trying to do to reinforce it right now. So let's take a look. So here you can see three different river sections. This is the river section that I showed in the last video, which was sent back to me by a potential customer where we're working on some color changes for the main body of the river. And this is, well, wait a minute, before I get too far ahead of myself. This piece is a piece I took off the shelf that has double coating of Mod Podge, so you can see the ripple effect in the surface. And what I wanted to do is try to replicate on this the problems that I saw on this and the photos and the customer that just sent me a response to his recent delivery. Now, let me see if I can get a good look at this. There we go. That's not bad. Alright, so right here you can see this impression. And there's another one right here. See if I can get some good reflection on that. And there's a little one here. And here you can see how the creases are a little bit sharper. So it's a little bit difficult to show you. It depends on the lighting. If I angle it like that, you can really see those round impressions now. So this is what I discovered, and actually the pieces that were photographed from the customer in Australia actually looked even a little bit more severe than this. So my first thought was, how can I replicate that? So what I did is thinking that it must be due to pressure applied to the surface of the bubble wrap on the river piece, I took a piece of bubble wrap, inverted this piece over it, put a brick on top of it. A brick seemed to be, this is a concrete brick, probably weighs, I don't know, it must weigh at least 3 pounds, maybe more. And I just rested it on there. I propped it up with a little side balance just to make sure it didn't fall off, and I left it over there on that overnight. Taking it off in the morning, I did notice that there was a little adhesion. It was a little sticky coming off, and I was able, let's see if I can get that in the right angle here for the camera. Well, now you can see they're actually not very prominent. I was able to replicate the marks a fair amount. Let's see here. There's one here. Well, it is hard to see. But that also attests to how fine they were. They weren't quite as dominant as even in this piece, and certainly didn't look as strong as what I was seeing in the photos. So I was a little bit curious about that. And I'm wondering if perhaps it's warmer temperatures from the warmer season now, as I wasn't seeing this problem in the winter, and perhaps under warmer conditions the Mod Podge is softening more. So I'm going to try to do this again and maybe put a couple heat lamps on this to raise the ambient temperature around it and see if I can get that effect to come through a little bit stronger. For this piece, This piece I had coated in response to a previous customer's concern. If you recall, I mentioned putting a bridge pier. A customer had put a bridge pier on top, and that had left some impressions in the water. So I thought perhaps if I gloss coated it with 2 coats of regular polyurethane gloss varnish. So this is the effect that it produced. It mutes the waves just a little bit, but really I don't think it takes away from them at all. So I was pretty pleased with that. And I also use this piece as a test whereby I put it on the bubble wrap and I put a brick on top of it. I did notice the next day when I pulled this off that it was a lot less tacky. So it would seem that the gloss coat from the polyurethane is giving some protection to the Mod Podge, but let's see if I can show. There's one right there. There is one kind of, impression from the bubble wrap. And there's a real slight one right there. I think you can just see that round circle there. It's a little bit more noticeable in person. So it didn't protect it entirely, which I have to admit, I was a little bit dismayed about that. I was really hoping it would be enough. So then I wanted to take a look at how can we maybe at least correct it on site, since this customer is in Australia. Of course, I'm willing to have the products shipped back to me, replace them, but I want to find a simple solution for both of us, if at all possible. So I thought, what about coating the surface with a little more Mod Podge that would be quick and easy? And so what I did is I just took a brush. Actually, in fact, let me show you. So here's the Mod Podge. I buy it in the gallon size. Hope that's on screen. I'm a little bit off center here. That's actually a little too much. Now this is not the exact style in which I apply the Mod Podge. This is just to show you how I'm coming up with a little bit of a fix here. And then all I do is just quickly and very thinly, and even if you get it on the sides, it doesn't really matter because it's going to dry clear, and water does splash up on things. There we go. And let me wipe off my brush here. That's a little bit too much, like I said, because I'm really going for thin coats. There we go. A little bit better. And then, you know what, I even just gave it a couple swirls so that those waves, if they showed through those lines, you can see the thicker areas, that they kind of conform to the current of the river, give it that essence. So, and actually, let's see here. Now, actually, with that coating, it actually helps highlight those marks a little bit more so you can see them. So I applied 2 such coats to the bottom half of this. And this had at least as significant a marking as the upper half here. And I have to say, oh, that's a good look right there. It really took out the marks and doesn't add, any real significant change to the surface of the water, except to create some brushstroke lines, which I thought kind of works for currents in the river. It's not too bad. It gives almost maybe a different sense of motion. It's more of an aesthetic choice. Again, I keep saying that about rivers. Water is about the pickiest thing I think you can work on developing. But you can see from this angle, it doesn't change the overall appearance of the waves too much. Gives a little bit of a linear motion to the water, but definitely takes out the marks. I can't see any marks in this anymore. Let me see. Wait a minute. Looking. I thought I could see one. Alright, if I have to look that hard, I'm going to consider that a fix. So that's one possible solution, at least on site, but that, of course, doesn't make me happy because I want people to receive their products in pristine condition. So I'm going to keep investigating ways to reinforce the Mod Podge. I'm going to try 3 coats of gloss varnish. Then I'm going to try putting a test piece on the brick under warm conditions, and I'm going to try a triple coated piece under warm conditions right alongside it. I'm going to see if that produces any kind of net change in terms of the overall durability of the surface. And of course, I'm going to follow up with another video to kind of share with you and let you know, what's going on, and if I'm going to look for a product change, and if anybody has any suggestions for one. So that's kind of a quick update of where I'm at with the river coatings, and I always feel really bad actually when a customer receives something that isn't perfect, at least as perfect as I can make it. But I try not to beat myself up too much because it's a new product and this is a new problem that I haven't seen before, and I feel like it's important for me to continue to experiment and to try to push the boundaries of what kinds of materials are being used in terrain, and to try to enhance effects at a reasonable amount of effort for to sort of bring, I think, the best tabletop pieces to the to your games that I can. But that does mean there'll probably be some hiccups from time to time. So there's a fly in here. I needed the Obama. Bam! Anyway, again, I just wanted to say, if anybody has any suggestions, things that you've done that produce maybe a similar effect that I'm doing here, but with a different material, I'd love to hear about it. And if you have other ideas about ways the Mod Podge could be reinforced without obscuring the wave effect, that would be awesome. And if you don't have any suggestions, don't feel bad, because I'm going to keep working on it, and I'll probably follow up with a video with some more experimental results in probably a week or so. And then I said before in the last video, I'm going to take a little time off from videos, and I realized I can't do that. I've got some interesting water effect pieces that I'm doing for another customer that I'd like to show you when those are completed. I just finished the mock-ups for the 6mm walls that I've been developing, sort of just picking away at them as I go along, because I have quite other projects that are a little bit more higher on the priority list. But I did finally get those done, so I want to show you those. And there's other projects coming up, the new color schemes for one of the modular boards. So there's lots to come, and I'll probably be posting videos pretty regularly for the immediate future. So I appreciate you taking the time to watch, and thank you once again for subscribing, and because it does really mean a lot to me, and I've been getting a lot of feedback on the videos, and it's a really nice way to start my day, so I appreciate that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching today, and I'll be back real soon with some more info. Talk to you then.